Hello. Hello, hello. It is August 31st and the end of the month, which means it is time for another Hangout thing where we hang out for a bit and reflect on the month that has been and the month that is coming ahead. Also, this month had like 5 weekends, so it's good to stagger out my streams. But it is the end of the month, which means it's time for the Hangout. Hi everyone, is the audio levels okay? People are already horny in the chat, which is quicker than usual. Usually it takes a while. Audio is a-okay. Sweet. Welcome to the horny stream, I guess. Hello, hi everyone. How is everyone? How's everyone doing? I'm doing great. I'm having a great day. I love that horny is technically a bad word according to YouTube, so if you write horny, it doesn't show up and I have to manually approve. Just gonna go ahead and open it with horny stream. Well, Shad usually goes horny anyway. Perfect ASMR. That was not my intention, but here we are. People are doing good. Sweet. Sweet. It is still summer, which means that it is still very warm. Summer where I am doesn't stop for about a month, so a couple of more weeks of summer, unfortunately, so it's very warm. Hello, hello everyone, hello. Shout out for your awesome work on the Shakespeare stream with Ollie and company. Yeah, the plan was that I was gonna be playing a role, and then it turned into 2, and then it just turned into more. I was kind like, it wasn't really fun to be part of the stream. The only thing I was worried about it was taking up too much space, because I was in like 4 or 5 of them. I don't remember. 4 or 5 plays, which is a significant amount, and I'm like one of the yeah. It was fun though. It was really fun to take part. Yeah, it was really fun to take part. I haven't acted in years, so just as an actor, like I haven't done like proper acting. I've been on YouTube for my acting, but it was really fun. Like, cause after I quit art school, I went to do like office work. After I quit theater school, I started doing office work, and then I started doing this. So it was just fun to like do Shakespeare again, just like doing lines and doing acting. It was just fun to do that again. Yeah, that was fun. It was really fun. As an actor, which I haven't done professionally in 2 years now. I want to get back to it, but you know how it is. Rest in peace, Google Hangouts on air. Yeah, they're. How warm is it in Sweden? It's not too warm, but I am weak. Let's see. Let's check what the system tells me. It is 22 degrees. I do not know what that is in Fahrenheit. $23 degrees even. Okay. We haven't had a proper Mia rant in ages. What would be a good topic to get her ranting? UK prorogation. Oh, the prorogation thing. I can rant about that, definitely. You were good. Thank you. All's Well was hand down my favorite reading. All's Well That Ends Well was surprisingly horny, which was really fun. With your new Twitter avatar and header, the way you open the stream is your brand horny. No, but I'm actually going to talk about that in my upcoming video, so that'll be fun. That'll be really interesting, actually. I should go really hard on the horny until then. Yeah, I should go real horny until my next video comes out, and it'll be great. It's awesome to act with you. Also, it was so much fun. Team Satanic Sex Clown. The Satanic Sex Clown was really great. What was my favorite play during the live stream? Probably Allswell. No, definitely Macbeth. What am I saying? Macbeth was great. I love Macbeth. Low 70s. Hiya. Okay, so the way I do this is these streams are public, and we just hang out for a bit. And we just have a grand old time. It's great. There's no pressure and there's no rules. There's no rules, just right. Just, you know, I should probably say that the official way I do these like hangout streams is just like we hang out for a bit and we talk for a bit, and maybe I answer questions, maybe I do a thing, maybe like it's no rules, just right. But what I try to do every month as well is to like reflect on the month that has been and the month that is coming ahead. And the month that has been great, because my last video, which is called Transsexuals and Suffering, is doing really, really well. It started out really, really strong too, in terms of viewership, and you know, things like that. And it's just been it's been sustained for a significant amount of time, which I'm really happy about. The stream probably has like a lot to do with that, but honestly, like it started out really strong too in terms of reception. So like it's probably a bit of both. Anyway, I can't complain. It's been a great month for the channel. Coming to a theater near you. Mia Mulder stars in Horny Quest. I've been in Lysistrata. I played Clinic, and that is an incredibly horny play. But it's meant to be horny. If you haven't read Lysistrata, I highly suggest you do. It's an ancient Greek comedy about a sex strike. Heck the rules. Heck. Hopefully lots of new subscribers and patrons. Yeah. It's been the only time I've had more subscribers in a month was when I was on the Donkey Kong stream. Did or do you do musical theater at all? I used to do a lot of musical theater when I did acting before theater school, and I did a bit in theater school as well. But that wasn't the goal. We mostly did like dramatic acting and comedy acting, but not much singing, unless we wanted to, and I didn't really like feel up to it in that sense. But I used to do a lot of musical theater, so I do know that I can sing. It's just I haven't sung for a long while now, and when I started voice training like properly a couple of years ago, it kind of like messed up my singing voice because I didn't do it properly, and then I just stopped kind of, and then I haven't come back to it. So yeah, I do want to come back to it though. I definitely do want to come back to it, but I want to go back to like acting in general as well. So I'm definitely gonna try to do more like theater things in my future videos. I was planning to do that in Transsexuals and Suffering too, but I just never found the moment to do it. Maybe in my next one, but we'll see. The script currently allows for it, and there's parts of it that I kind of want to do, but you know how it is. I might cut it all. Hopefully lots of new subscribers and patrons. Oh yeah. You deleted a lot of tweets, and a lot of them are understandable as to why, but why do you delete the tweets about being tall? I delete all sorts of tweets. About everything. Just because, like, sometimes it's like, things might stir drama, and I don't want drama, so I delete it just in case. Sometimes it's like, sometimes I'm wrong about a thing and I delete it. Sometimes I just don't want my Twitter experience to be like ruined by too many tweets. So sometimes I just delete tweets because like, I don't think it's worthy of being up on the timeline. But I delete maybe like half my tweets. I delete a lot of tweets the instant I post them as well. Sometimes, and I do tweet too much, so it's a thing where I try to, I don't know why, really. It's just what I do. But like Twitter isn't a thing that I do, like professionally, I guess. Like YouTube is the thing that's the thing that I do on my main channel and these streams, of course. But Twitter is just like a fun thing. It's just a fun social media network. Fun. But I'm there. So. I'm here. Pleasure being here. Pleasure having you here. I love having people on these streams, because I remember a year ago, and it was like I remember when I started doing these streams, and I was doing them alone. I'm just happy that anyone's here. Honestly, it's great. I love having streams. I love streaming a lot, even though when I'm done with a stream, I feel bad because I feel like, oh, I could have streamed more. So maybe someone didn't like see enough of the stream, and now they feel bad for missing it or something. And like, I love streaming. I feel bad about stopping the stream. Did or do you delete musical theater? Was it a Freudian slip? I have not deleted musical theater as a concept. I like psychedelic rock. Are you into Tool? Have you heard their new album yet? I haven't. I've heard a lot of people talk about it though, but I haven't listened to Tool. Your tweets give me strength. Possibly the best Mia tweet this week was dead name of Anastasia's ansiktsbehandlingar. You can do Twitter professionally. How do you professional tweet? I know people who have Patreons just for their tweets. They don't make a lot of money, but they exist. Twitter is fun in a pretty masochistic way. Yup. 24-hour Mulder stream forever. Don't worry about stopping streaming. You gotta take care of you. You're not a product. Oh, I know. This is also part of my upcoming video thing. My upcoming video is gonna be about a lot of things at the same time. It's gonna hold up. Like, it's gonna be solid. Like, it's gonna mesh well. But it's about a lot of different things that might not seem connected, but definitely, but that I think are. Do an endless stream for the rest of your life. Would be a fun art project. It would be nice to like beat the Twitch record one day, like for a week, like do it like for an entire week or like 2 weeks, just a constant stream. I could beat Ollie by doing like classic Swedish realism, which is just less fun than Shakespeare, featuring more sexism, anti-Semitism, and racism. Trump's a professional tweeter. Well, he's the president. Have you listened to Nightwish? I have, but not a lot. Your favorite Mahler symphony? I don't have one, unfortunately. I don't listen that much to Mahler. I'm more of a Beethoven gal. I was closer to Twitch record. You were, but not quite. I'm ASD, and so I get the whole these things don't seem connected, but they are. Your mother presents ornithology. A weak, horny clown. What's your favorite Frank Klepecki song? Mutants, I think. Or Gloom, but I think Mutants. Yeah, probably Mutants. I like Mutants. That's a pretty good song. I straight up listen to the Tiberium soundtrack like a lot. Be getting into the 8th for some reason. Used to hate it. Is the 24-hour Shakespeare stream still up to watch? I think it might. Ooh, I don't know. It might. I don't know. It's gonna be up. It's all going to be available to watch, but I'm not sure it's all up now. But it's going to be. I don't know. You'll have to ask Ollie or one of the moderators. I would just dare to guess and act. Hey, Sanmia. Hello. Literally playing Red Alert 2 while watching this. Less. I never got into Red Alert. I'm more of a Tiberian Sun person. Tib Sun is just the best. I'm a nerd. I was addicted to Tiberian Sun. Those tweets brought back a lot of memories. Tib Sun is great. It's just a solid game. It's aged really, really well. Have you played pen and paper RPGs? Oh yeah, a bunch. I used to DM for my roommates playing D&D, and currently me and a couple of friends are setting up a Fate thing, but I'm not gonna DM that. I'm just gonna play. It's not gonna be a thing on public though. It's just me and my friends. I've been thinking about maybe doing some like pen and paper RPG Twitch streaming, but it's like I'm way busy these days, and like the only other people that I could think would want to do something public like that on the semi-regular are also super busy. So, you know, it's the way it is. Pen and paper RPGs are like, they're really fun. It's some of the best things that you can do, in my opinion, but it's a time sink. And I spend a lot of time just listening to stock music and writing scripts and reading. Some of it is still available on Twitch. It will all be available soon. Yeah, that makes sense. When I get back from holiday. Yeah, enjoy your holiday. You deserve it. All the RTS is aged well. Well, don't agree with that. I don't think Red Alert aged well at all. But that's just my opinion. That's just my onion. Tiberian Sun and Firestorm. Tiberian Sun is just better, in my opinion. The expansion Firestorm is great, but not as great as the first one. Yes, the OG one is great. The Firestorm is good when it comes to like lore building and things like that, I think. There are definitely like some fun moments in it, but I don't think it doesn't really build on gameplay in a way that I think is fun. So the original still wins every time. It's fun. Any opinions on positivism? I don't know. I think nuclear war is bad. And if I remember correctly, positivism is the one that like wants a nuclear war. What philosopher do you think you share the most ideas with? Also new to your channel. Well, welcome to this channel. What philosopher do you think I share the most ideas with? Good question. Very, very good question. Probably none. Like, I don't think... Like, I've been hesitant to label myself anything politically. Like, I am on the left, obviously. But I've been hesitant to label myself as anything, because anything that I'll label myself as comes with like the baggage of an entire person's like political philosophy that I might not necessarily agree with. So I'm like, there are a lot of different thinkers that I agree with when it comes to different things. Like I think Marx has really good ideas when it comes to criticizing capitalism, but I don't agree with everything. I don't agree with all of them. So I don't want to like describe myself most agreeing with him. So I don't know. Probably no one. Like eventually, I'm gonna write my own book on political philosophy, and and then I don't have to. D&D 5e. Lies. Right, gotta go and get ready for my own stream. Bye. Okay. Criticizing Red Alert, is that what you get, huh? Okay. I get it. I get it. Tiberium sounds better than Firestorm. Should we nuke hurricanes? No. Have a good holiday. Hegel, since it's opaque, you can read anything into his work. Yeah, like, I dislike Hegel, but like, that makes sense. I might just bit into this, I can't get Hegel at all. No one can get Hegel. Everyone likes Hegel because Hegel, like, Hegelian dialectics, and it's like, okay, well. I don't know. I've never been super into Hegel. Once you take on a label, it can become a bit constraining. Exactly. I just describe myself as a Mulderist, and you can also describe yourself as Mulderists. It means whatever the fuck you want it to mean. It can even be contrary to what I've said. Red Alert 3 has some of the best cutscenes of any video game of all time. I don't know. Some of them, like, okay, yeah, I can get that, but I still think Tiberium Sun wins when it comes to cutscenes. I might miss some questions because the chat is going a bit too quick for me. Keep writing, like, it's fine. It's just that, like, I'm a slow reader. In English, anyway. Do you have an opinion on Jean-Paul Sartre? I don't like Sartre at all. I haven't read too much of it though, so I shouldn't say that I dislike his entire philosophy, but what I've read I haven't liked. Labeling yourself puts you in a position where you have to constantly defend that position, and also we're not really allowed to change your mind either. Yeah, like I've changed my mind a ton just in the last year when it comes to a lot of political philosophy. Nothing that has to do with my videos, however. Everything that I put out in video form is kind of like based on, you know, things that I'm very certain of and things that I like, things that I feel that I can stand by for a long time. But you know, there are a bunch of things that I changed my mind over. And, you know, if I label myself as something, it's like, oh... Which philosopher has the best beard? Krafft Ebing. He's not a philosopher, but he is. He's not a philosopher, like he isn't, but he is. In my historian opinion, he is. I'm gonna do an anachronistic labeling thing, which you can do sometimes, and it's actually okay. Because Richard Krafft Ebing was a sexologist, for example, but he didn't describe himself as a sexologist, and he never did sexology, really, but he is still a sexologist because his work is foundational to modern sexology, so he is still a sexologist, and his ideas on gender, identity, and sexuality are mostly philosophical instead of actual, like, biological or anatomical, so we can't really say that it's like... It's not even psychological either, so like there's a bunch of there's more overlap in these areas than you think when you read history. So I would say that he is a philosopher in that sense, specifically when it comes to like sexual philosophy. So, and I think he has the best beard because he is my best boy and I love him. He's an awful, he was an awful man. But I love him because I love his book. Sartre or Camus? I haven't read Camus. I'm an historian, I'm not a philosopher by education. So I haven't actually read like a ton of philosophy, unfortunately. GDI or nod? Nod. Every time. Nod. When it comes to like, okay, actual real life values, it depends because the values change between the games, so. Like, Command & Conquer 3 nod, I mean, sure, they had this weird like religion thing, but they are the only ones that are kind of like protecting the, you know, the non-rich areas, while GDI has like really cemented itself to being just a police force for the rich and for the privileged. But in Tiberian Sun, which is the second game, I mean, they are like the more humanitarian alternative to Nod, which is just like more as a, they are acting more as a terrorist network trying to get a hold of alien technology, which like so it all changes over time, which is how I guess real life works, but you know, it changes, so I can't say on values. But Nod units are great, and the Nod aesthetic, hell yeah. Big ass score. Do you know how okay, so GDI, which are the good guys, they have turrets and they have like bunkers and they have like towers and shit like that. Nod, on the other hand, has a giant ass scorpion with a laser tail that shoots people. That's how you do a defensive structure. Big ass scorpion and obelisks. That's how you do it. You gotta commit to the aesthetic. Was it Red Alert 3 where Tim Kerr says he's going to go to space to escape capitalism? Yeah. Engel's beard would be the shit out of Kropotkin's beard. Maybe your Hangout streams are getting to the point where you might need to enable slow mode. Maybe. Tiberian Sun Cutscenes had James Earl Jones in it, so they win by default. Exactly. Not too much of a dumbass to read books. Eat the rich is enough philosophy for me. I'm gonna make a video on should you read theory or not, eventually. Might touch a bit on that in my upcoming video too. Best beard and best ideology. How does one judge a beard? How do one judge a beard? Beard beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Krafft Ebing, the sexy philosopher. I don't know who said it, but someone labeled him the father of fetish. Because he kind of is. Like, he is one of the first historical he's kind of one of the first historical figures to like actually describe what a sexual fetish is, and he's one of the reasons why we even talk about sexual fetishes at all, because otherwise we might just view them as part of what people are into, and we might not have to label them. But he was the one that was like, there is normal sex, and then there is abnormal sex, and abnormal sex are fetishes. Like, he was one of the first people who like came up with that idea of like categorizing things, and that's kind of why we have like vanilla sex and kinky sex, kind of. So someone labeled him the father of fetish, and it might have been me, but I'm not sure, because it was years since I actually did any like actual research on him, like actual scientific historical research, or wrote any papers or articles about him. It was years since I did that. So I don't know who, and so I tried to Google it, and I tried to like find who labeled him the father of fetish, and I couldn't find it, because I wanted to do a bit in my most recent video where I call him daddy, like fetish daddy, but I couldn't find the origin of the quote, so I didn't feel comfortable just saying it, because I would steal a quote, because it's a really, really good quote calling him a father of fetish. But you know how it is. It might have been me, like in like an essay or something. But I don't remember, and I don't know for sure, so I can't say it. Thoughts on Howard Zinn? I gotta have to Google that name, I think. American historian, playwright, and social thinker. Seems like a person that I should have known about. Let's see. Notable recognition. Don't know enough about him. Does King lives in death? Yeah, King lives in death. Peace through power. The technology of peace. Who has the attention span to read philosophy? Philosophy students do. What are the historical significance of King living in death? Good question. I don't think too much about the video games I play. One day I might do like a deep dive into like the historical implications of the Fallout universe or something, and I would get 2 million views by the gamers, and I would instantly lose any traction in my audience. Any book recommendations? I would love for people to read Psychopathica Sexualis and Transvestites by Transvestites is written by Magnus Hirschfeld, and Psychopathica Sexualis is written by Richard Kraft-Ebing. They're both books from the like early 1900s, late 1800s, so they're old books, but they're very useful for reading, I think, a very like foundational part of LGBT history, and it kind of explains a lot about why the modern LGBT movement and why society and like how much of the Western world's view on sexuality is the way it is today. Because a lot of people blame like the church, or they blame organized religion, or they blame like, and all of that has elements of that, of course, but there is a point of like scientific homophobia and scientific transphobia that comes specifically from these people. Not from Hirschfeld, because he was like pro these things, but definitely Kraft-Ebing. So it's a good reading if you want to know like the history behind it, and they're written by the original people, so like it's a primary source. I just want to say your last video really helped me be more chill with the idea of accepting myself and transitioning. Yay! I think everyone should be comfortable transitioning, as comfortable as it can be. Is there a period of history you like the most? 1845 to 1945. That 100-year span is filled with a lot of things that I like. And also dislike, obviously, because of Nazis. But there's a lot of like medicinal history and philosophical history and ideological history that happens specifically in that time span, which I think is incredibly useful. And that's basically the only part that I studied in university as well, because that's the field that I narrowed myself in. Specifically in Europe as well. And there's, you know, I studied a bit of background back to that, so like starting in the 1700s, so I just, because that's critical to understanding why things were later. But the specific field that I studied started in 1845. The late 1800s is incredibly interesting to me. I don't know why, but you've been teasing us about your upcoming videos, so can you give us a title or some kind of topic instead of just teasing with glimpses? I can't. Normally I might, but I can't, because it's not at that stage where I feel comfortable doing that. Daddy of fetish, you say? Yeah. I like how you describe history as a science. It is a science. It's not a hard science, as the STEM people might say, but it is a science. Like, there is a scientific process related to how to study the past in the best possible way. It's also why I sometimes tweet that I don't like non-historians commenting on history. Obviously, anyone can comment on history, and anyone can learn the scientific process behind history to study history. Anyone can do that. Like, it's valid to be an armchair historian, so as they sometimes call themselves. That's fine. That's valid. It's just that a lot of people don't apply the actual scientific theories behind like academic history. They just like look at Wikipedia, look at dates, they look at like specific historical events, but they don't place them into context. They don't do a like historically based analysis. They don't do many of the things that you need to do to actually like analyze a situation. But it is a science. I will never not defend history as an academic field, because I personally honestly think that history is one of the most critical fields that people can study, but I'm biased, obviously. A lot of people will say like, oh, you should study philosophy, or you should study math, or chemistry, or physics. I'm like, sure, worthy goals all, but History is politics and like artistic expression over time, and that feels like it's incredibly important. I think, at least. Is there anyone on the left who's not on FetLife? I don't know. I don't even know what FetLife is. So, People's History and You Can't Be Neutral are great pieces. I think Zin is totally readable for idiots like me. Oh, don't worry. I'm also an idiot. I'm a clown too. Sometimes I read things and I just like hate myself. When I did the Jordan Peterson video and I had to read all of his stuff, when I read Maps of Meaning, I felt bad for a significant amount of time. People's History of the United States is a left inspiration of US history. Oh, that sounds nice. Isn't every 100 years span filled with everything? Yeah, but like, there's a significant change between how the world is in 1985, how it is in 1900, and how it is in 1945. Like, there are two significant shifts in the global zeitgeist within a single human lifespan, which is rare in history, and there is very densely packed shifts in political ideology, or just all sorts of ideology. Because I did ideological history, so I do that. Gotta love the German unification wars. The German unification wars are incredibly interesting, but I don't really do wars. The STEM fields are a lot less hard than STEM lords claim. I know, but like, you know what I mean. Oh, like and I think that's the thing too. I think that a lot of people are like so used to the idea of the soft sciences being soft, and I think a lot of that is just based in what is profitable, because what is profitable is STEM. Like, if you do math or physics or science and stuff like that, you can start, you can go into coding, and you can start like inventing new stuff that you can sell to people and make money. Like, if you study history, philosophy, language, stuff like that, it's not really, you can't create a product from that, but you can from everything else. If you study chemistry, you might like invent some new kind of makeup and make a fuck ton of money from it. Yeah, one day I'm gonna make a video about that too. Understanding and contextualizing history is definitely a science. Yup. Maps of memeing. I think in STEM fields, people understand social ideas will influence what topics are studied. Yeah. Study computer science and like history. I like to learn history in my own limited free time. Yeah, that's valid. Like historian is like people like. A lot of people think that historian is a protective term, like doctor. Like, you can't call yourself an historian unless you have a PhD and are a professor. Like, I met a lot of people who have no university education at all that are extremely talented historians. Because a lot of historians are just like the old lady that lives in the city that just has like really good, like, that has done like a lot of like family research about her own family, and like done a bit of research about the town that she lives in, and has like written books or like about the history of the city that they live in, like from what she remembers and what people around her remembers, the stories that everyone tells, and like maybe some of their family used to do that before, like, and that is incredibly valuable historical information, and that is a form of being an historian. Like, anyone can be an historian if they do history, like if they do historical analysis, so to say, if they write history. And I think people need to be like more open with the democratization of science in that sense. It just sucks that the people who are doing like history are doing it in a very commercial way currently, if they're doing it like in the mainstream, right? So it's the History Channel, it's those magazines with Hitler on the cover. There's a bunch of that, which is not history. That's just history that's not history science, that's history fetishes, and I don't like that. I wanted to talk a lot about that in my video on anti-intellectualism, but I wasn't at all comfortable doing my job back then, and also was a long video, and also it would kind of be too hyper specific, but I'm gonna come back to that too one day. So many video subjects. Sorry for talking it a lot, but like, ugh. Can we get an F in chat to pay respects for the Jordan Peterson deepfake set that got taken down because of some speeches more free than others? Yeah. F. Like, people that just like, I know a lot of people who do mods for like Paradox games like Victoria 2 that have done a lot of historical research in order to make the video game mods more historically accurate. And they take a lot of notes, they like compile a lot of information for a mod. And that is also doing historian work. That's also doing historian science. Even if it's not published in a journal or anything, that's still valid. That's, chemistry doesn't become less chemistry because it's done, at home. Cooking is also a form of chemistry. Like, science is all around us, and it's beautiful, and we love it. We shouldn't be elitist with science, but we should be frank about what it is. And it shouldn't be commercialized too much. Or at all. Hi, welcome to my hangout where I shit talk capitalism, as always, and also talk about the democratization of science. You can just create a YouTube persona. I don't know what that's in reference to. I'm just not in agreement when I get shit on for studying psychology. Yeah, like people are so weird when it comes to science. Video on chemistry? Nice. I failed chemistry, but I'm gonna do a video on democratization of science. I can do that like eventually in the long-term future if I return to that. I don't know science though. Like I failed science in high school. What's your favorite element? Hydrogen, probably. I love hydrogen. Because it's a proton. And an electron. So easy. So basically, I love that. Like, I don't have to learn anything. It's like, neutrons, maybe, but like, it's not by default. Protons, that's one. Electron, yeah, one. Like, obviously there's fuckery, but like, it's easy. I can do that. I know what it is. I love hydrogen. My granddad used to sit in a lot of library basements, scour through very thick books. People who do that are incredible good sources for academic historians, people who like do publishing and stuff like that, because it takes time to scour old libraries for things, and a lot of people do that because they find it fun. And so those humans that do that, they become like the living embodiment of history, of like historical sources, and they are incredibly useful. History Channel in North America is super conservative. They're super conservative pretty much everywhere. Don't think anyone here is bothered by you talking a lot. It's very relaxing. I'm talking very quickly though. I'm a mechanical engineering major, but I love learning about history and minoring in it. Yay! I want to go back to college after I graduate to try to pursue a full history degree. Would you say this is a wise decision, especially since I'm interested in learning about science part of history? I love science part of history. That is, the science part of, like, scientific history is incredibly, the way that we did it, when I studied history was that there were like 3 categories of history. There's economic history for people who want to do people that want to be the next Marx. I studied that too. There's generic history for people that just want to write history books, and there's ideological history. So I went into that, and then the subcategory of that is science, the history of science, and I went into that too, which is why I study a lot of like medical textbooks, because I went into psychology, and then I went into sexology under that. So I have a very hyper specific field. I would say it's a very good idea. I want to go back to college after I graduate to pursue a full history. So you would still have a mechanical engineering degree. I would say that's a good idea. The thing about history is it's not profitable at all. Like, I'm on YouTube, and this is not a typical result, from getting a history education. Some of my classmates from when I studied are either went into like academics, so professors or researchers or stuff like that, or they started writing books. But both of those careers are not secure. So like if you can afford it and you want to do it, I would highly suggest doing it, because I think it's very important, and it's also like a good supporting for other fields that you're doing, because a lot of fields, no matter what they are, like if you study psychology or mechanical engineering or programming or whatever, a lot of times people will make like big decisions based on what they think is a good for the future, like we can do this, but they have no historical backing about what they're doing, so they don't know how similar things have ended up in the past, or they don't have an historical background. So I think that historians, or like studying history, should be kind of mandatory for like everyone. So I think it's a very good decision to study history, but only if you can afford it, because unfortunately we live in a capitalist society and it's not a profitable gig, like, unfortunately. I survived, but university is free for me because I live in Sweden, and I got very lucky like getting a job afterwards, and I went into like acting and modeling after I got my degree anyway, so I was incredibly lucky in that respect. But then I got an office job, and then I started doing YouTube, so it's like I don't really do history in that sense. So it's a risk to study history, but I think it's worth it for me anyway. But I can tell you what to do. I'm not your dad. But if you're interested in learning the science part of history, that's a deep field, and it's really interesting, and it's really, really fun. I had like one of my best times studying history was just studying different technological processes as they like what they mean for society and for civilization and stuff like that. So like when ceramics, like just the concept of like ceramics versus glass, because they originally filled a very similar function, but like as you specialize in them, they fill very different functions, which eventually lead to like massive technological differences between two different areas. So in Europe you have glass, in Asia you had more ceramics, but glass, like for drinking, like that's the like to store things within, like that's the OG purposes of these things. But eventually, in Europe, that means you can start crafting lenses, and you can start doing other things, while in Asia you can start like doing heat insulation things that Europe hasn't discovered in ages, and innovations in storage that Europe wouldn't discover in ages. So there's like very good. Sorry, I'm ranting. History is fun. I love history. Cooking is the science, this is an art. A lot of science, I think, is a lot more art than science. There's a saying that's like it's more art than science, but like a lot of science is just a lot of art too. Cooking is bread science. I'm way behind on chat. I gotta be quicker. Sounds pretentious. I'm an ultra masculine bread scientist. Will you ever pursue a PhD in history? Probably. When I burnt out with health issues, I was halfway through my master's. So I might go back and finish that one day. But honestly, like I do want to finish my master's in history one day. Maybe I'll do a PhD in history one day. But honestly, like I've gotten a lot of emails and stuff from professors that I've studied with, that I'm like friends with on social media and stuff. And they've told me that I'm doing like an important job by bringing historical ideas to YouTube, and like that I'm doing a thing in like promoting, like democratizing science and like historical science to or scientific history, sorry, to the masses, and like I can communicate, because historians are awful at communicating historical ideas to a mainstream audience. So there's a part of me that just kind of wants to do this, just stay on YouTube and like have this as my career, because so far it's going good. Like I'm growing, I'm earning more every month. I get more subscribers, I get more views every month. Like every month is better than the last in terms of audienceship. Like I'm doing great, so I can't complain. But also that I feel like I'm doing, like I'm comfortable doing this, and also like I feel that I'm doing like an historical service, even if I'm not doing research. I'm still doing. I become like a history communicator. Does that make sense? Like I'm doing history communication in the same way that Ollie like is doing philosophical communication, or Bill Nye is doing like, you know, STEM communication or things like that. And I think that's important to do, especially when it comes to the softer sciences, because they haven't been as popular in recent decades, while hard science promoters have gotten a lot of support and a lot of, like, you know, backing. And part of that is because it's easy to make money from STEM. It's easier to make money from STEM educations than it is from soft sciences. So yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not too bad. Even an argument for your choice. Oh, for hydrogen, yeah. Of course, I hated history in high school when it was like an angry grandma teacher making us remember really old dates. Yeah, a lot of history education is bad. I love your stuff and the Match Christmas in inebriated past episode, yeah. A lot of history education is bad because they focus on like years, dates, kings, wars, nation building. It's really, history has been used to like promote national ideals a lot. So it's a lot of talking about wars. It's a lot of talking about like who were the good guys, who were the bad guys. It's been like kings, it's been presidents, things like that. And that's not what history is. It's nothing to do with that. That's just fact remembering. And that's not what history is. History is tracking events over time, but that's not what wars are doing. That's just naming dates. Like if you want to talk about like the history of World War One, like actually, you're gonna have to go back to like 1845 and talk about like anti-monarchist sentiment in Italy. like you preferably even before that. Like you can talk about like anti-monarchist sentiment in like southern France in 1795. Like you can. That's more interesting than talking about like the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand and you know the development of tanks. No one cares. Well, people do care, but you know what I mean. Like that's the real history is like why and what does it mean that why happened, and what does that mean for society, and what does that mean for us today? Okay, I gotta be quicker with chat. Got to observe Finnish schools for a couple of years recently. Is English second or third language you learn in Sweden? It's the second language here, but we do start a third language as well after a time. So I studied French. I dropped out in high school because I couldn't do French. I would love to learn art history, but like in a way that puts movements in larger historical context. There are ways to do that. I don't know how. I never got into art history. That's a bit of a separate field from like the history deals with like more politics and things like that, and then we have art history that's kind of separate, like even from the beginning, very separate from the rest of the historical fields, which is sad because I think they're more related than people think. But I never studied anything with art history, which I think is sad because I want to, but I didn't. History was in high school too. Yeah, they're a big issue there. There's too much focus on dates and small facts, not overarching. Yeah, exactly. My history class in secondary school were absolutely terrible, not fitting. Yeah, there are a lot of them are. The chat keeps moving and I don't know why. I lose myself in the music. Where am I? There I am. Hello. I'm sorry, Shad. I'm very slow. My history degree was far more flexible. Technically, my specialization in peace and war studies and American intellectual history, but that didn't really cover what I learned. Yeah, like I think that the more flexible is better, because individual choices about what to study is, I think, a lot more useful than like teaching a curriculum. But that's just my onion. STEM needs more liberal art classes integrated into it so we can make wiser decisions. Yeah, I think that's important. I want to go into history of technology. Now I work in tech and learning even more that we desperately need more awareness of that history than I even thought. Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of like big tech corporations should definitely have like a team of historians just on staff to tell them there's like, hey, this facial recognition thing that you're doing, I mean, there have been similar things to like monitor people's movements in the past, and they haven't really gone that well. Like, they're, usually they're almost always co-opted by like tyrannical governments, even if the developer is like benign. So maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, maybe you should not. We're here for the ranting. I was doing philosophy at uni, which was kind of wonderful mix of linguistics and history. Yeah, philosophy and history are very closely related. So a lot of historians are philosophers. A lot of philosophers are historians. There is a separation though, which I think is important. So like, Philosophy Tube does philosophy. I and like Step Back History and other like YouTube historians, we do history. But there is a significant overlap. That is hard to ignore. So like, eventually I do want to publish books on my own takes on political philosophy, right? And that would make me a philosopher in a sense, but I would base it in history, but it would still be philosophy. So it's like, I was doing philology. I read philosophy, I'm sorry. Philology, I have no idea what that is. It's like studying language in order to understand the culture and history of a culture. Ah, that makes sense. Sorry for the misguided rant. That sounds cool. That makes sense though. Studying language is very important part of like studying the history and culture of a place. Science is wearing lab coats. Science is just keeping good notes, it's true. A lot of STEM students have this weird belief that humanities are below them or unimportant. Yeah. I think this is a narrative that is being promoted to them by big corporations that don't want to pay tax money to fund the humanities, but that do want to have a workforce to develop more goods. Programming is just cooking with code. History of X is a good way to get into history for people who like X. Some students feel a lot of their industry is more profitable, and profit is of course all that matters. Yeah, we live in a capitalist society, unfortunately. I work with metals and ceramics a lot, and I found that art is a lot more science than you think. Oh, definitely. History Tube. I don't think I should with people going to STEM solely for the money. Something, yeah, a lot of, yeah. I think a profit incentive to get into most areas of education is a bad move. Because I went into history because I love it. A lot of education is bad, period, yeah. Talked with a lot of STEM students, like trash talk to history and philosophy, and only care about working for a big tech company, especially in the Bay Area. Well, yeah. See, this is why we keep repeating the mistakes of the past, because no one listens to history. Keep telling them. Return of Patreon Hangout History Rant 2, the ranting. I keep doing this, huh? The history of politics and of milk in New Zealand. That sounds like an interesting thing, actually, yeah. Honorable Stephen Kenneth Godstiny Bonelli II is arguing with lefties now. I have to go. Bye-bye. History Channel taught me that history is talking about cool World War II guns. Yeah. I have a job that I resent, and I'm aware of many issues in my work with them. Was it resolved? Oh, I'm sorry. The societal pressure is very yucky. Okay, I might have to get ready for my day and go pet a cute kitty. Go pet a cute kitty. From me. Give him plenty kisses and pets from me. A reason why no developer is thinking, should I develop this? Is because none of us are giving ethics lessons. I've had maybe a half an hour of lecturing my entire bachelor's in comp sci, computer science. Like, ethics, yeah, I think Yeah, I think like a lot of people are talking about ethics classes, and I think that's very useful too. I think that kind of, for me at least, but I know this isn't true of all people who study history, so it should be its own separate thing, obviously. But there are a lot of people, I feel at least, that when I study history, I kind of like get the ethics lessons along with it, because you need to like sometimes you need to look at things from like a moral perspective. But we don't really study ethics, so we just, we base it on our own worldview at the time, but it's based on history. So we can see, for example, when talking about like, an East India Company or something, we can see this like, oh, the motives are profitable and they're doing all of these things, not necessarily from a place of malice. Like the slave trade, for example, they're not necessarily doing it for a sense of malice, but for profit. But it is having like horrific moral consequences and horrific ethical ramifications, even if that's not like the intent. And that's an extreme example, obviously, but I think that's kind of like comes along with studying a lot of history, where you're like, you can see the consequences of your actions, and you can see the consequences of a lot of historical actions, and you can kind of like, yeah, it's kind of brute forcing your way through ethics, whereas ethics actually just like takes away the history, and for the most part, and just teaches you the moral lesson. And there are definitely benefits to both, but I'm always gonna be a stan for history. I do not know what stan means, but I'm gonna say stan because I'm an adult. We stan. That's a thing. I know that's a thing. I know people said that. Some people stan me. I don't know what it means, but I think it's good. I'm old, okay? I'm 26. I don't know what stan means. I'm not old. 26 isn't like, no, like old is a weird category anyway. But like, I mean, I'm a part of a generation now that doesn't understand what stan means. I'm that old. I am the age of does not understand internet lingo anymore. Ooh, hang on. I got a comment asking about thoughts on Jared Diamond, and he apparently wrote Guns, Germs, and Steel, which I've read. Read it several times, but it was years ago since I read it. Guns, Germs, and Steel. It's been, I don't know. It's good reading. Guns, Germs, and Steel is good reading, I think. I don't remember a lot of it though, so don't quote me too much on that. Interesting reading, but I'm not sure if it's good or not. It's been years. I'm doing a PhD in volatile scientific area. Is there anything you found in your studies that might be helpful to ways to keep advances you contribute to from being used being used only for good purposes? Absolutely no idea. Like it's a management thing. It's entirely a management thing. Like the individual, and that sucks, right? Because like the individual workers of a thing rarely control what the thing is being used for. It's an entire leadership thing. It's entire like who owns the means of production thing. And I know I'm gonna sound like a bit of a as a communist, but there is a very important, that's why unions are incredibly important, right? Because if an individual worker finds work being used immorally, they can be fired and they can be replaced by someone who doesn't care. But a union can be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this thing, so maybe we should just like force management to do something else, or ideally become management. Stan comes from an Eminem song about a fan that commits murder-suicide because Eminem answers fan mail. That seems dark to become like mainstream internet lingo. You're 26? I'm older than you, now I feel old. Don't worry, in my heart I am at least 85. to Google it. Stan is super obsessive fan. Okay. Some rap thing. I'm like super old compared to you. I don't believe in like physical age. I believe in like mental age, and I am at the age where I never got Fortnite. I don't get the Fortnite dances. I just recently got into dabbing. I don't understand internet lingo anymore, and I see people that are older than me that's just like snatch the wig, we stan, and it's like, okay, I don't know what these words mean. He shortened Stalker fan. Great. Songs from 2000. Meaning got later because of internet. Yeah, that makes sense. They're damn interesting, but I was a bit aware of these grand explanations of everything. That's definitely true. I think when I read Guns, Germs, and Steel, it was my first ever term in history. So, and I don't think we were ever returned to him. But I think it was like we also read like a bunch of these like way big explanations for a lot of things that are, a lot of them were really bad. But I think that Guns, Germs, and Steel was one of the better ones. But like as you go deeper into history, you start getting into less like grand explanations of everything. You start getting into like, no one knows anything about anything. Everything is chaos and everything sucks. Basically. Mulderus and Malt. All up in here, yeah. Ollie's live now. Yeah, he has his own thing. So I should probably like cool it off. How do you find a field to get into as a career? Well, I got into history and I'm currently making my career on YouTube. Any advice that I give you is not going to be helpful. Because I'm going to talk about this in my upcoming video too. Actually, kind of. But like, I don't know how I got where I am. Any YouTuber who tells you how they got where they are is lying. They don't know. Anyone... Like, I haven't got into history as a career. I got into YouTubing as a career, which is like a combination of my history degree and also like my acting, my acting hobby. And then, eventually I went to theater school, so like it's part of that too. But like that's not a career, so I can't advise you at all. I would say do the thing that you love, so that you can do it and so that you have passion for it, because passion shines through in whatever you do. So that's what I would say, because I do what I love. Like I talk about stuff from an historical perspective, and I do it while being in front of a camera, which I love. But that's me, and I got very lucky, so I can't really, I'm not your dad. Sounds like I said something internet would adopt. Love your glasses. Thank you. I got these glasses thanks to my fans, actually, because in this spring, when I earned a lot less on Patreon, my eyesight was getting worse and worse, and I was like, because I never used to wear glasses before, because my older ones that I got when I was a teenager, they weren't at all working for me anymore. And so I said on Twitter, like, I should get glasses, but I can't really afford it. And then like 10-15 fans of mine sent me like an extraordinary amount of money so I could afford it. So thanks for that. Thank you so much for that, actually. So I can see. I don't wear them in the videos though, because glare, but Anarcho-Mulderism. I've personally been asked to do some pretty unethical shit in my career so far, and every single time I push back, people seem shocked that I would object to anything at all on ethical grounds. Yeah, this is why we definitely need like ethics classes, because a lot of people don't think beyond the profit incentive, which is horrifying. But I think that's a result of like the humanities being like slashed. Because the humanities is not just taking ethics classes and history classes and learning about why things are bad. It's also just like building a relationship with your community, and it's building a relationship with where you are in the world right now and why you're there and what you can do to do it. A lot of STEM things kind of ignore that perspective, and a lot of like profit incentivized fields, they don't think about that. They don't really want you to think about where you are right now in relationship to the world and other people. They just want to make you create profit, because that makes more profit for the boss, and it sucks. But one day it's gonna be better. One day I'm actually optimistic about the future. People are talking about unionizing again, which is great. My mental age is 8. God bless. Mia Mooder. Word of advice: never make a TikTok. I have a TikTok. I never used it, but I have an account. Mental age is so real. It's an experience that ages people more than years. Yeah. Bloop. Hello, Alice. I'm gonna keep going for, let's say, 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna have to take it easy. I actually got a call. Hang on. I might have to take this. That was actually incredibly important, so I am glad I took that call. Sorry about that, but I'm back now. So let's say 10 minutes or 20 past or something. Yeah, so 18 minutes. 20 past, and then I'm gonna head out. Then I'm gonna go play some video games by myself. I'm gonna play Kerbal Space Program and go to Mars. Hi, Alice. I said that already, I think. Mia streams are more interesting than Ollie streams. We're both excellent in our own way. But thank you. Me and Ollie have a surprisingly different set of audiences. Like we share a large common base, right? But there are a lot of people that like follow my content that doesn't follow his, and vice versa, which is like, in his case that makes sense because he's a lot larger than I am, but in my case I feel like it's weird to me that not all of my fans love Ollie, but it's interesting is all I'm saying. My mental engine is sometimes scrambled. It's a lot of trans people I feel like have a weird sense of mental age because of like, I had my major identity crisis at 19. A lot of people have them when they're like 50, but I had one when I was 19 years old, which is like, okay, well that shit ages you. Years of disassociation, yeah. I'm a teen girl and almost 30-year-old woman at the same time. Yep. What about laser eye surgery? I don't like laser eyes. I don't like surgery at all. I've had surgery. I've had surgery here, and I've had surgery under my eyes, on my eyes, for modeling. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like, especially on lasers. It eeks me out. I don't want to have a laser in my eye. It could go wrong. It's capitalism that's the problem ultimately. Yeah. Any thoughts on the Swedish monarchy? We should abolish it. I don't like it at all. A lot of people like it because like our king is a bumbling clown. But I mean, and he doesn't have any political power like at all, which is good. But I don't think he should remain at all. Like, unlike the British monarchy, where the queen has actually still some power, the Swedish king doesn't, which is great. But we shouldn't have it. Surprisingly true for my art education too. We don't really talk about things outside of the art scene. Yeah, we need context. That's why I love history too, because like history. What is history? You can't do a history. You can't like pick up a book and like, this is just history, because history is always about something else. History is by necessity about something that has happened that that is another thing, like that is another scientific field. So like I know a lot about like psychology, and I know a lot about sexology, because you know that's what his history field was about. And you need to know the things that you're researching about in order to understand them. But I understand them from like a 19th century perspective. So if someone asks me like about current things, I was like, I have no idea, because I'm talking like 1892. But anyway. But you know, I think it's important. That's why I love history. How do I delete my gender? Good question. I want that. I can't find a folder it's stored in. Hello, this is the Syrup Queen, Mia Mulder. Who's better, Jebediah or Valentina? Valentina. I love Val. Headed to the only place that's not corrupted by capitalism. I'm going to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space! Riddler 3 is fun. All I have to make up with the shortcomings is mood lighting. I have mood lighting, I just haven't activated it. Because my mood lighting is a lot cheaper than his is. I mean, I'm an historian and a philologist, not a philosopher, so of course I'm biased, but I love him too. Yeah, like, yeah, you know how it is. Can you do a video about the police in Europe? Whenever I bring up police violence, people always say, "Oh, it happens in America." Oh God, I know that. I know the type you're referring to. I am eventually going to make a video on violence, which is definitely going to involve the police, but it's not going to be about the police, so to say. But I'm definitely going to do a video on like political violence. And that's going to be part of it. I quit my job today and I could not be happier. Well, congratulations. I'm happy that you're happy. I'm very happy. The sun is a deadly laser. Fuck facial hair. Yeah, phase laser. I should do some phase laser things, but it's because I did my thing, like my regiment, but it didn't take. So I gotta go back to that for my facial hair. Although in the future, I might actually do a video like with a beard, because I can actually grow one. It looks super weird though, because like I've done the laser thing on my face, so it's not thick, but it's like it looks like it's drawn on, and it's great. And because it doesn't look like a real beard, it doesn't actually trigger my dysphoria, weirdly enough. Like, it doesn't feel like it's an actual beard. So, I don't know. Why is the US trying to buy Greenland? I can't come up with a funny answer. How big was the A$AP Rocky issue over there? This is actually the first time someone's asked me about A$AP Rocky. I'm surprised. It wasn't a huge big deal. A lot of people talked about it, but like most people kind of just like, well, everyone is kind of like, well, everyone's equal in front of the law, even if you're a celebrity. Yeah. There were some people that were like a bit about it, but the Swedish system, from our perspective, this was just a Swedish system doing what the Swedish system does. It does this all the time, and like, you know, I don't want to say the verdict was wrong or anything, or right, or like, I don't want to get into that because that's a whole bit of drama. But like, that's a Swedish judicial bureaucracy doing what it always does. I think most of the drama came from like Americans who didn't know how the Swedish legal system works, like asking for bail or asking politicians to step in on behalf of A$AP Rocky. And it's like, these things you are describing don't exist in Sweden. Like, Sweden doesn't have a bail system. Sweden doesn't have a like a minimum holding time during, like, as they are investigating like an active crime scene or stuff like that. If you're and everyone who isn't a Swedish citizen is deemed a flight risk, for example. Politicians can't interfere in the judiciary like a lot. So it's like, you know, that's where most of the drama came from. Like, Americans learning about how Sweden works, whereas Swedes were just like, screw you. What did you get done underneath the eyes? Ah, well, here's a story. So I used to have my eyes. I'm not sure if you can see this. Does it? Okay. So my eyes are, hang on, hello. I'm very close to the microphone right now. My eyes used to be, partially, they used to be a little bit more puffy. You can see like old modeling pictures of me where they're like, I kind of look like, I don't want to be mean, but like it's a bit Steve Buscemi, like, you know, a bit of a bulgy eye thing. So I did a bit of that. I also had like a lot of, what's it called? Spots. It's not. I had that too, and like there's a thing where it's like white things around the eyelids, things like that. I had that, but I had like other types of spots around the eyes as well. So it's a very minor surgery, but it kind of interfered with my modeling career when I was modeling, so I had them removed. The modeling agency paid for it all, so. And it also made my eyes look really good, I think, because I have very cute eyes. Entirely cosmetic. And it's also like it's so minor surgery, like you can go in and they like do it in a day and you get out same day. It's great, and you don't need to wear the patch or anything. Like it's great. How do you come up with the starting word for my videos? Good question. I never thought about that. Starting words? I need to Google my own scripts here because I don't remember what I do. I don't think the scripts are even accurate either. Let's go for the, hang on. What does that keep coming up? Jordan Peterson. The first one in the Jordan Peterson. The past month I've been struggling to write the script for this video. Okay. Usually what I do is I just try to like come up with a way to say things, and I don't know, I don't write the intro first. I write the intro like pretty much last. Like I set up the act structure, and then I fill out the chapters about what I want to talk about, and then I kind of make them connect as much as I can, and you know, I edit and I edit and edit, and then I kind of like from that try to like catch a viewer's attention without doing like a clickbaity thing too much, while also being like very friendly and being like relatable to my already existing subscribers, while also like being able to like catch in new people. And I always fail, but I don't. I know I don't fail because I keep getting more views than I have subscribers by a wide margin, because I'm a very good YouTuber, humble. And I also get a fuck ton of new subscribers every month. So like I'm fucking great apparently about what I do. Apparently I'm a fucking amazing YouTuber. I don't really know how I do it, but yeah. I'm gonna go down the chat now because it's 20 past, but I'm gonna go down the chat as quick as I can, and then and then I'm gonna go have a cup of tea and play some Kerbal Space Program. Hey Mia, I can finally catch you live. Any chance you stream your games off Twitch? I do have a Twitch page which you can go follow. I think it's Mia Mulder, just the name as it is, like twitch.tv/Mia Mulder. I haven't streamed games there in a very long time. But I really do, and I was really planning on doing it this month, but I just didn't. I never had the time. But I really want to do that. I really want to play video games on Twitch, because I don't play video games a lot anymore, but I do want to do it. So I'm gonna do some things, and I'm gonna announce them on Twitter. Or if I start doing like a regular streaming thing, like maybe I play a game for 2 hours a week or something, that could be fun on Twitch. You know, I'll announce that on the community page on my YouTube page, space or something. I really want to play games on Twitch for several reasons. One, I want to have a dedicated time in my month that is just for fun, that is just for video games and interacting, like playing with fans, maybe like Jackboxings or whatever. Dedicatedly that, like dedicated fun time, because I don't really have a weekend because I work from home, and like this is my full-time job, so you know I don't really have like a week structure. So that could be fun, like a dedicated, like this is for fun and streaming that is a good way to like force myself to do it. And the second is a second revenue stream, because like, you know, I earn enough money to pay rent, I earn enough money to pay for food and medicine, stuff like that. I'm not in dire straits anymore, but you know, I'm not also like loaded, so it would be nice. And also because games is fun, and also because like they're, you know, they have networks and stuff like that. So here in Sweden, for example, if you are a partner or if you're an affiliate even, you know, you get invited to like fancy dinners with like famous Swedish streamers, and that would be fun. That would be really fun. Or like press events, that would be fun. Being a YouTube partner, you don't get anything being a YouTube partner unless you have like 200,000 subscribers at least, or 100,000 subscribers at least. You don't get anything, but on Twitch, they give you shit. And that would be fun. And also because it's like, you know, it's it would be content on the regular that's more casual, that you know, that would be freely available to anyone. And, you know, that would be fun. Now, where was I? Why was Desiree Clary? I have no idea who that is. Quick Google. Queen of Sweden and Norway as the king. Former French general. Bonaparte. I don't know. There are so many things where European people say that only happens in America. I know it's very common here to just shift all the problems that Europe has with like white supremacy, racism, police violence, far-right extremism, stuff like that, being shifted to America because America, you could argue, has it worse, but also America is just bigger, and also America speaks English. If something happens in like Germany or France, it gets reported on, it gets reported in German or French, and that doesn't make it into like other European countries. So you don't hear like there's less like international messaging between European countries, but we hear everything that comes from America. So a lot of Europeans, they only hear it from America. They don't think about it, that it's also a widespread problem in Europe as well, because it doesn't get reported on across in Europe yet. We actually have a huge police violence here in Israel. I can imagine. Face laser. Phaser. Glitter beard Mia. No, never. I'm never doing a glitter beard. I'm never gonna do drag and the drag style. I'm not comfortable with that at all. There's some bail in Sweden. So what happens between arrest and trial? And they just decide whether you're flight risk or not, and keep you out accordingly. They just decide if you're a flight risk or not. So if you're not a flight risk, or if they deem that you would be a flight risk, or that you would be dangerous out on the streets, they just keep you in. Then you're in jail. But you can serve time served, and if you are like deemed not guilty, you will also like get money for lost income up to 80%. But yeah, like you can't buy your way to freedom in Sweden. It's impossible. So if you are dangerous or flight risk, you are staying in jail. Bulgy eye gang. Thank you for making such awesome videos. Have a great evening. Have a great evening. You're breathtaking. See me. Trans rights. Thank you for making the video about concentration camps. It really meant a lot to me knowing that people care about this even more than a person. Yeah, I felt I made a video over a year ago talking about ICE. How I see kind of ICE as a fascist secret police, because I think it fills the criteria. Like if it sounds like a duck and it moves like a duck, it's a duck. But I kind of wanted to do a return to that. I didn't. I kind of cut a large part where I kind of called back to my previous video because I think it stands better on its own. But I think a lot of people need to like talk about what a concentration camp is, separated from the Nazis. Because people talked way too much about the Nazis. A lot of people speak way too much about the Nazis. Like, it sounds weird, right? Because we don't talk enough about the Nazis in certain ways. But sometimes you talk too much about the Nazis. Like, we learn all the wrong lessons. Have a great one. We stand. Tell plant I said hello. They say hello, plant. You need water. Holy shit, you're thirsty. All follow me on Twitch, yeah. So you'd be at dinner with PewDiePie. I don't think he lives in Sweden anymore. What was the below eye surgery like? Were you awake for it? I was awake for it, yeah. It's so different from laser surgery. I mean, it's not. It's not that different because, like, I could probably do it if I really wanted to, but I was really invested on becoming a model. Like, I was desperate to be a fashion model, so I just pushed my way through it. But I have glasses, so I don't have to do laser surgery, so I don't really feel a pressing need to it. So I don't feel a need to push myself through it. But it was nice. I met. You don't really meet a surgeon. You meet like something between a surgeon and like a skincare doctor, something like that. You know, and they put you in a thing, and they put like things around your eyes to like prepare the skin, to free your skin. There's a lot of steam to like open up all the pores, because they do a lot of things with the pores. The only things that like to reduce the bulge, that's when they had to like make like very tiny things on the edges to like, you know, empty out some things and put in some other things. I don't really know the specifics. Famous Swedish streamers. It's PewDiePie. No, I don't think he lives in Sweden. People who stream in Swedish. Because they do. Sweden has a huge YouTube and streaming community, but they do it in Swedish. So, I mean, a lot of people don't see it. 2% of my audience is Swedish, by the way. So, like, my audience is not Sweden. My audience is America and the UK, and like Germany and Australia. Those are my biggest demographics. I think France is also bigger than Sweden. Ireland is also bigger than Sweden. Sweden is a very low on my demographics, analytics things. So I don't think anyone there will recognize me. So short comment, which game you should stream? A Bewitching Revolution. Yeah, I saw Zara Zedig talking about that. It seems very nice. Shit. Plant has thirst. How did you meet Ollie? Good question. Shit, I don't know. How did we start talking? I'm curious. How did me and Ollie start talking? I'm gonna check this real quick. I mean, I know I'm just giving you time to type more. So I'll never be free from the stream. Eventually I am. Eventually, just so you know, if you keep typing in the chat, I'll do my best to finish it, but after a while, if I just don't want to do it anymore, I'll just stop. So, like, don't worry, like, if you don't want to. Yeah, he became a patron of mine. That was a thing. Yeah, he became a patron of mine. And I was having a bad anxiety day, and because he said a thing about my video, because I had anxiety, and then I had anxiety about him saying something because I had anxiety, in a good way. And that kind of coincided with him making a video on sex work. And he cites me in that video because he talks about the Nordic model. And I think, yeah, and it just kind of took off from there. Yeah, because he said a thing. Yeah, he became a patron, so I felt comfortable reaching out to him when he said a kind thing about a video that I had made, that I was feeling really anxious about, because a lot of people were coming at me really bad. Some justifiable, most of it wasn't. It was the Last Week Tonight video, by the way, and I was having a really anxious time about it because a lot of people were coming at me. And he said something very kind about it, and he shared it, and I started feeling guilty, and I was like, oh, I forced him to compliment my video, and I was like, I'm sorry you felt that you had to do that. And he was like, no, it's fine, girl, it's fine. And that was the first contact we had. And then and then he cites me in the thing, and we talked about that, and it just kind of grew from there. I'm very happy about it. Like, he's a very good boy. It's been very helpful to me as a YouTuber, like, starting out. His support has really, like, meant a lot to me, and it feels weird to me sometimes whenever, like when I do the Shakespeare thing, by the way, because I always feel like I'm taking up too much space. Whenever I'm on a stream together with Ollie, I always feel like I'm taking up too much space and like I'm being imposing, even though no one has ever said that. No one has ever like told me that I am. But he's always been very supportive of me, and it's very nice. I'm very thankful for him to do that. Estheticians. Do the Danes watch? The Danes do watch. About the same as the Swedes. Come to the UK then, we'd love to have you. Yeah, no, you're leaving the EU. I'm staying here. Greetings from Germany. I'm from Denmark. Neighborly hi. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to my channel. I think one part is hearing the Swedish English accent is kind of jarring for a Swede. Definitely. 100%. But hey, I talked to an American the other day. A person who was raised in America. Wasn't born, but raised in America. For almost 30 years. Like, who is older than I am. Who has lived in America for more than I have been alive. Who told me that I have an American accent. Explain, because that isn't true. I don't hear it. A lot of people say that I have a Swedish accent, but then I hear Americans, some like, it isn't just this person that I'm exemplifying, but like other people have also told me that I have an American accent, but that makes no sense. I do not have an American accent. I've never even been to America. I've talked to like 3 Americans IRL. Like, this is not. People being assholes to creators is very rarely justifiable, even if they're technically correct. There's, okay, so I got 3 types of responses for the last Week Tonight video. One was like flat out harassment, which is bad. And then there's the justifiable criticism, because I did make some mistakes. I've edited out the ones that I care about, that I think are justifiable. And you know, I got some criticism, and I got like some actual like, you know, you have good takes, but like maybe this wasn't like properly whatever. And then there were the ones who were like who had the technically correct bit, but that also felt the need to call me slurs. And it's like, fuck you. People being here for a wholesome leftovers. We were so happy to have you on stream. You never take up too much space. I know people tell me that, but anxiety. Hello from Finland, I guess, if that's what we're doing. Hello. You definitely don't have an American accent, exactly. Hello from Brazil. No, I don't think so. I mean, I can definitely ramp up the Swedish accent if that's what people want. And this is a joy that many native speakers to English will never know, because all people who speak English as a secondary language can do this, where they just ramp up their own native accent to the extreme. And it's really funny, especially in real life. Because this is just like, I don't have to, this is no effort from me. This just comes naturally to me. Well, you have a not British accent, I guess. You have a Swedish accent, but your English is clearly Americanish. As a Dutch person, people have told me I have an American accent too. Maybe the US accent is just generic. Is the Swedish left pro-EU? No, they are not. They are anti-EU. But they are not going to elections on leaving they are not doing a Svexit thing. They are not running for that. They are critical of the EU, but they do not want to leave it right now. Pick up a lot of Americanism. Yeah. If you were to divide English accent into 2 categories of British and American, then yeah, your accent might be more American, but it's ridiculous. Yeah, that makes sense. Your Swedish accent isn't strong, so it's not completely ridiculous to categorize you according to a native English variant. That makes sense. If you're bilingual, you can do it in 2 accents. It's true. Dutch Prime Minister does the accent unironically. I love... I can't do the Dutch accent of it, though. Music never. Okay, I'll need to be right back because my roommate is coming home. But thanks for the stream. I need to go. I actually need to go now. Because I was planning on quitting 20 minutes ago. Thank you for the stream. It's been great. I'm gonna have 2 more streams in 2 weeks. Hang on. Yes, in 2 weeks there's gonna be another Patreon AMA that's just for patrons. My next video is coming out hopefully within like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that, because I'm gonna try to make back some time. This has been really fun. I'm gonna do like this and I'm coming back to say the rest. Be right back. Okay. Fuck. Okay, I'm back for the last final bit. Okay, so my next video is coming out fairly soon. This stream has been fun. Love you all. This has been really great. Sorry for the back and forth thing, because my roommate forgot her key, so I have to let her in. But yeah, it's been really fun having you here. Great. Thanks for a great month. My channel has never been doing better. And yeah. Thank you so much for being a fan of mine. And thank you so much for supporting what I do. It honestly means a lot. So, you know, yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe, I guess. Also, please subscribe to this alt channel too, because it doesn't have a lot of subscribers, and I would like to have more on this one. My main one is doing great. This one doesn't have that many subscribers. Okay. Have a fun time. Now, go raid Ollie's stream or something. I love you all. Yeah. See ya!